Like what? How you doing? What's going on with your feet again? Oh, so you already going now? Yeah. So where am I? I call it. I'm the Bermuda Triangle of Leicester, the three dodgy corners of Leicester. So I was raised Beaumont Leys for 10 years, and then so it was a council house, and we could sense that it was getting rougher and rougher at that time. My mum managed to get a house swap with another family. I mean, I was only 10 years old, so this is like a vague memory. And we got out and we moved to Highfields. And then I changed school and went to a primary school, Avenue Junior School. And apparently, the first week I was coming home, slating the school, saying they're talking like this, they think they're this and that, they're all posh. And my mom said, week 2, my accent had completely changed. And suddenly I turned into this Cloudon Park esque person. And yeah. And then we was there for a couple of years, and then we moved to Eilston, Merle Eilston, Saffron Lane. It was Saffron Lane. It was definitely Saffron Lane. So it was Beaumont Leys, Highfields, and on the Saff, as we called it. So raised amongst the sort of the council estates, and here we are.
So how did you get from the SAF to here?
The Saff to here. Okay, I never ever wanted to be a hairdresser. I mean, it wasn't like this was a chosen career. I don't know what I have no idea. I think just the usual things. I think I always wanted to be on stage as such. Like I wanted to see that audience, to that kind of power of manipulating a crowd. That was always inspiring as a kid. But as a child who didn't really have much, coming from a single parent family, we didn't have much money. So at sort of 12 to 14, 15, I had about 3 paper rounds just to get all the things that other kids had. At that time, baseball caps were the thing. And I think there was a shop in Leicester called USA Sports. And I had loads because I used to earn my money by doing all these paper rounds. And everyone wanted my hats, and I used to sell them for ridiculous, stupid things. But anyway, and then my mom came up to me and she said, she's possibly got me a Saturday job because I wanted to get more money. I was like, okay, yeah, where is it? And she said a hair salon. And I was like, no chance. I'm not. Because there was a stereotype of a male person within that industry. And I was like, I'm going to get absolutely ripped at school. There's no way I'm going to do that. But my mom, being my mom, she forced me to get into it. And I went. There was 3 owners at this place, a salon called Remy. It's still going. There was 3 bosses, Remy, Sav, and Bruno. And they weren't what I thought at all. They were all, typical masculine men as such, loved football, and everything started there. I started working there on Saturdays whilst I was still at school, and they came up to me later down the line and said, do you want to learn? And they did a training evening. I think it was Wednesdays. So I used to finish school and go to the salon and do training. And that's how I got ahead of myself. So I got very ahead of myself before, school ended to go to college as such. And I was terrible at college.
Well, yeah. What did you do?
I didn't. I used to turn up at so college started at 9 a.m. on Monday. So it was day release because it was an apprenticeship. I used to turn up at about 11. And then there was like the first break at like 11:30. And then I used to go home. Like I was a nightmare. But my bosses allowed me to do it. And a little bit of charm got me through it. And I can remember it was coming up to the end of my or near to the end of my apprenticeship. And I was actually I was going to do a season in Ibiza, but I hadn't done any work. And the college where I was at, there was lots of changes going to the college. I think they were being taken over or something. And I explained the situation. and we pretty much did 2 years of work in about a week's time. Got everything done, and hey, presto. So, but if my apprenticeships acted like me, they'll be gone. But yeah, and everything, it's been, the industry's been, I would say the industry, I just love my job. I've never actually embraced the industry at all. We've been on our journey, or my journey, and we've got our sort of blinkers on, and we're doing our own thing.
What do you think is different about you versus the industry?
People care too much about how they fit within the industry, and I couldn't give two shits. Yeah, I worked for some big names in the industry. You get to see it from every different angle, and you learn what works and what doesn't work, and then you form your own path. And you have to have that vision of the path before you start any business, I think. Otherwise, yeah, people just get into it too, think it's just going to be this and that, and it's too easy, but it's not. So I had to learn the long road as such, and this is my path. This is what I believe in. And we do not, categorically, we don't follow the normal patterns of the industry. All we care about is providing great careers, having an amazing team. The team have to be happy first, fundamentally, before anything. There's within our industry, be it whether it's the hair industry or the beauty industry or the hospitality industry, it's the focus is always customer, which, yeah, I get. They pay our bills, but it's team first. It's team happy. If they're happy, that will filter onto the customer. It's that simple. I think I learned the hard way in the sense that so I got into management really, really early. I went from, I was a head assistant, and then I was assistant manager, and then I was manager really, really early on. And, I used to look up to people like Gordon Ramsay. I used to watch his first series at Boiling Point, and he managed by fear. And that's how I was. And my one of the salons where I worked at, who I learned a lot from, he loved that initially. And, but I realized that, the respect and the loyalty was short-lived. So fear works, but you don't get loyalty. So you can do it in a different way, I think. But there's got to be an element of fear. I think fear is a lost emotion that is needed sometimes. But you can play on it. It's like, the same with kids and parents. I feel like the kids have to have an element of like, oh shit, dad's coming. Oh shit, mum's going to kill me if the dad's a soft touch. There's got to be that. But you don't have to shout. You don't have to swear. You can just do it with a little bit of a look. And apparently my frown is constant.
Does fear drive you in any way?
Yeah, of course. That never, I run this business as if it's my first year. Every year is our first year. You work towards the end of the year, you learn from what's happened, and you dust your shoulders and you start again. And you try and start again with when you first open a business, ruined it. You ruined it.
How much do you go, I'm doing things how I want to do it and run it, versus listening to other people?
I believe that, I'm a good reflector. I need people. I don't need yes people. I need people to tell me how it is, whether I like it or dislike it. I will always go away, think about it, and come back and try and better my thought process as such. You have to, and that's the other element of running a business well is it's not a 9 to 5. Your decision making, your one-to-one meetings, you're thinking about it, up until midnight. You wake up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., and you're thinking about it then. You know, you write things down, or you're putting notes in your phone. It's constant. So it's a marriage, an up and down marriage, and it can, but yeah, it's a good stress. So before the dog rudely interrupted T-Bag, you know, when it comes to the end of the year, it's dust your shoulders off, reflect on the year, and it's start again. It's back to year one. And you know, when you first, you know, your first year of business, you have so much energy. You have, you know, you're thinking out of the box, you're trying different things, everything's fresh, and you've got to try and get back to that every time. You know, there's ideas, especially that you might have tried in the past that didn't quite work. Well, this is a different year. You know, politically everything's different. People change. You know, Gen Z are around, completely different mentality. So things that might have worked might work again, might have not worked, might work again. To try and have it, you know, it's all about trying to have a better year. It doesn't matter whether you've had an amazing year. How can we do better? Sometimes with us, I mean, we've just gone through this where, you know, we've always been great on loyalty with staff. We've always kept our staff. And for the first time ever, like, we've had some senior members who have gone off and done their own thing, which is great. You know, one of our girls, you know, she'd been with me for, oh God, it's definitely 15 years, a long time. And obviously that was at different salons previously, but she's flourished. She's done her own thing. So we had 1, 2, and then straight after that we had pregnancies. And I've never ever, in all my years of management, I've never had someone get pregnant. I know that's unheard of in this industry, but I think I think probably because I've been so negative about it, you know, I've suppressed them mentally on giving birth. But we had one of our girls get pregnant, and then straight away someone else got pregnant. So we had 2 senior members and 2 senior girls go off on maternity, and then we're suddenly like, shit, you know, what do we do? And we had to put a lot of responsibility and focus on the younger girls and say, you're now the seniors. You've got to lead. You know, we got others in from elsewhere, but those 2 younger girls had to sort of replicate and show what we're about and lead by example. And it really has been a case of rebuilding and like really understanding what team building is. And that's what salons are. You're in an industry of building teams. But we were very fortunate to have consistent loyalty, and just adding one here or there but then suddenly they go, and it's like, Christ, we've got to really rebuild and remember how we got there. And one of our girls has come back from maternity. She's come back as manager, and she's brilliant. You know, she's looking at the shop with new eyes, fresh eyes, seeing things that maybe I've got complacent on. And I'm trying my hardest to make her feel like it's hers. Like, run it like it's yours. Go with it. And if I disagree with something, I'll say it. She's got to be able to handle that. But she's doing an amazing job, and she has an assisting manager as well who's supporting her. And they're, you know, the 2 of them are really trying the hardest to build something special, and move it into maybe a direction that I couldn't make it or take it to. But it's timing, and it's understanding how to do things. You know, it's trying to put yourself in their position, and how would you like someone to correct you? Well, I would never do it in front of the rest of the team. We'll just talk privately and say, probably wouldn't have done that. This is what could happen. But I've not had to do that too much. And, you know, it's having patience, because something that I might not agree with, I'll just back off for a little bit, watch it evolve, and it might start to work. And I think, you know what, I was wrong. And, you know, I'm out of the way. So we've got upstairs all done now. So I generally work up there most of the time. And that gives G or Georgia the ability to really feel like it's hers without me looking over.
Do you think you can recognise where you've misstepped?
I think our mistake first was, I managed, quite considerable big salons in Leicester, and I wanted that straight away. And when we first opened the salon, when I had other partners, it was under the name of Flappers and Gentlemen. Some people might remember that. I wanted big straight away, and it doesn't work. You've got to build it slowly, and by trying to have a big team straight away, you're paying wage, and wage is quite a hefty headache on your shoulder. So it was tough going. I think in hindsight, I would have just took a bit more of a slower approach, and focus on one or two individuals, build them up. Once they're built up, try and add one and add another, rather than having loads and one busy stylist who's supporting all of them. So slightly different, but it worked. We got through it, and here we are. So yeah, it did work. it did work. Maybe the other way probably wouldn't work. People always ask, would you want another hair salon? And no, that's not the vision for me. I think, I just want this to constantly grow, get better. It has little knocks, and then, we're just constantly moving. And that's to try and replicate this. You can't do it. And even if we opened another salon, your customers would be, most definitely be like, oh yeah, it's not quite the same and blah, blah, blah. I don't want that. What we do want, we've managed to find an amazing building. There's units below us. I've been very, very open about this. We want the those bottom units, the corner unit especially. And I want hospitality. I want to open a wine bar, sorts of thing, with amazing coffee, obviously. And everyone says, oh, we can't be asked. We don't want another coffee shop. But, I want to try and create a space that is just cool, that's chilled, it's not too pretentious. People who are on their own will feel comfortable enough just to sit in and have a great coffee or a great glass of wine or a whiskey or brandy, whatever. The ultimate goal is trying to create an area that has multiple businesses that feed. So I would love to get the unit over there, and I would love to get the unit over there. We deserve a florist. We deserve a German hot dog sausage shop there. I've always wanted one of those. So I just want to create my little area. Multiple businesses. If I stay single, I can do it, I think. Some people who know me quite well will know that I like to make changes quite often. I get bored, be it whether it's the furnishings, be it whether I'm dressed just in shorts and oversized tees or whatever, and then suddenly I've gone smart. The staff will always, I'll come down in a suit and they'll be like, for God's sake, he's wearing a suit again. So I like change. And the name that we were before, the word flapper was a 1920s, female socialite as such. So a vintage name didn't allow me to change the look of the shop. I felt stuck. And making it my name, there's the artwork on the wall was a little bit controversial. So it means that I can change. And it's what inspired us with this look was, I don't know if you remember the film Beverly Hills Cop, the original. There's an art gallery. One of his friends was in an art gallery. It was very black and white, a bit of 80s. It's a little bit of the old traditional, dare I say, Tony and Guy with a twist. But I can go vintage again with the same name. I can, it doesn't matter. It can be bloody yellow, whatever. Anything. And that's the key, to keep it fresh.
What you have already.
Is this
Is this not success?
Where did you draw the line?
It's strange. Yeah. Success. What is success? You know, yeah. I mean, the net going back to your name above the door as well. You know, people see your name and, you know, you've made it. Or when you first open a business, oh my God, you've made it. It couldn't be further away from the truth. You're running a business, you've got to marry it. You've got to go through adversity. You've got to be nearly broken. For me, success is not about the cars, although I've just bought a new truck. But there's a theory on the truck. The truck is it will stay a truck. I won't want a new model or anything like that. I just want a truck. And it oozes masculinity. And I've been fighting that whole thing all my hairdresser life. So success to me is building careers for individuals, building a happy team, being able to feel comfortable to pay wage, pay your bills, get by. And the true element of success personally is if someone says to me, Blake, let's go to a restaurant and have some food, I can go there and pay my bill with no worry. That's all I want.
So you're already there?
Yeah. Yeah, it depends how many times you go to a restaurant. But maybe I could be. It's hard, but the success journey never ends. Right, what's the stuffed dog?